Hey everyone, it's Valamid. Today we're gonna go over some insane OP console commands that will completely change the way you build and play the game. Console commands are a debugging tool you can access by pressing that little squiggly line above the left tab on your keyboard. It's exclusive to PC players, but it does get disabled when you play on survival mode. There are hundreds of commands that allow you to do crazy things like increasing the size of an object, give yourself infinite caps, or kill anything and everything within a 100-meter radius. It's definitely a fun way to mess around with the game without having to use mods. Plus, achievements aren't disabled. There aren't a whole lot of videos about console commands in the context of settlement building, so I did some research and compiled a list of commands that I found useful for settlement building. The way we can manipulate objects in workshop mode is limited by collision boxes and pre-existing assets that we can't move or scrap, which means people like me have to rely on things like the rug or the column glitch to override these boundaries. These tricks do have their limits, and object placement can end up being less than ideal, especially in situations where you're in an awkward angle eyeballing a platform placement. This is where modifying positions and angles through console commands really come in handy. The mod pause and mod angle can be used to add and subtract numbers from the position of an object, NPC, or item along the X, Y, or Z axis. I tried it with some scaffolding pieces, which always leaves a gap in between whenever you snap them together. I opened the console window, then selected the platform I wanted to move, typed the mod pause, followed by the axis and the number value. We can take this further and change an object's angle with the mod angle command. We can literally put things upside down, something that's impossible to do even with glitches. These commands really shine when it comes to perfectly aligning platforms that would otherwise be too time consuming or impossible to do so with glitches. Using these commands to blend in objects can sometimes end up in these vibrating textures, but to get rid of them, just open the console, select the object and type disable, then enable. But if you're interested in a mod that does this for you with less of a hassle, I do recommend getting the Place Anywhere mod. Now, the disable command is a bit risky to use, but it's a sure way to remove unscrappable objects and dead bodies that just won't despawn. Disabling objects in the game won't delete them. They're still technically in the game, but in a kind of inactive state. I do recommend making a hard save just in case you accidentally disable an essential object or NPC. Likewise, you can just move an unwanted object out of bounds under the soil with the mod pause Z command. God mode is probably one of the most commonly used console commands out there. Simply open your console window and type TGM to enable or disable God mode. Not only are you invincible, but you have an infinite amount of materials in the workshop mode. This is perfect for when you want to start a new character just for building settlements. You don't have to spend hours gathering junk for materials or being forced to advance the main storyline to uncover content. Now, some items are still locked behind perk requirements and caps, like the level 3 shops that require caps and the medic perk, for example. Which is why leveling through console commands comes in handy to unlock some of these workshop items. Open your console window and type player.setLevel, followed by the level you wish to be. Here I set my level at 200. Keep in mind that your XP bar will continuously fill up for the number of levels that you executed. It will take a while for your character to go through them all, but we don't have to wait for that. We can immediately start using our perk ranks. That still leaves us with figuring out how to make caps and unlocking items that are only granted through perk magazines and such. The player.addItem command allows us to add items in our inventory. If I want to give myself 1,000 caps, I'll type player.add_item followed by the cap's ID, which is 7 zeros and 1 letter F. Then the number of caps I want in my inventory, which let's say it's 1,000 caps. So it'll look something like this. You can repeat this as many times as you want and have an endless supply of caps. As long as it's an item that the character can equip in its inventory, you can essentially award yourself with just about anything, except for Creation Club content. There are 5 Picket Fences magazines that unlock even more items in your workshop. This list has all the Picket Fences magazines, their ID, and the items that they unlock, straight from the Fallout wiki. Now, unlocking items off of the DLCs is dependent on quest completion and your character being present at certain locations. There are console commands that move you through quest completion, but these will probably break the game in some way. I've looked extensively for a solution around this using console commands, and the consensus is that you will have to get a mod to get around it. I put down a link to a mod that unlocks all Workshop DLC content in the description below. All we need to do now is start claiming settlements. We'll start by unlocking all map locations so we can fast travel there. Open your console window and type TMM1. This will immediately uncover all locations, DLC maps included. We'll fast travel to a settlement of our choosing. Find the workshop, then open console, select the workshop and type set PV owned by player true. This will immediately unlock the workshop and we didn't even have to deal with Preston, so it's a win-win. I wanted to add this console command to the list even though it's a bit risky to use. The scrap all command will scrap any item that can be broken down into components and materials, except for things like NPCs. Even things like bobbleheads, perk magazines, workstations, and crops. I highly recommend storing any items in your workshop or your inventory that you want to keep before executing the command. This should only be used after entering and exiting the workshop first. Otherwise, items in other areas might also get scrapped, like the basement doors to the castle that lead to the armory. Then you'll be unable to enter that area. I would recommend making a hard save before using it, just as a precaution, so use it wisely. Part of building a massive settlement is having settlers roaming around and living in it. Recruiting settlers is a time-consuming process since it's dependent on setting up recruitment beacons and having enough resources to house them. You can supply your settlements with an endless supply of settlers by typing player.placeatme followed by 20593. Even though these settlers technically spawned in Sanctuary Hills, they're still not actually registered as being Sanctuary Hill settlers. We need to go into the workshop mode and move them here individually. Only then will the game register them and we can assign them to work. Now, if you want to be able to command a settler that the game doesn't allow you to command, like Mama Murphy, open your console window, select Mama Murphy, and type set PV be commandable 1. You're then gonna fast travel away and come back for the command to take effect. You should now be able to assign Mama Murphy to work. Typing set PV be allow move 1 will allow you to move a settler that's normally not movable, like Sturgis or this Brahmin here. We do need to fast travel and come back for this command to take effect as well. In the context of settlement building, if you have no clip enabled in the workshop mode, you can place objects through collision boxes. To turn no clip mode on or off and allow your character to go through solid objects, open your console window and type TCL, making sure you aren't accidentally selecting anything. Unfortunately, once the object is placed, you cannot grab or manipulate it any further. Still, I think it does have some utility for quick object manipulation. Now, if you want to have a free roaming camera to have a better look at your settlement, open your console and type TFC. If you type TFC1, it will pause the game while still enabling the free roaming camera. You can change the camera speed by typing SUCSM followed by a number speed value, 40 being really fast and 1 being super slow. The free camera does have its limits and you'll only be able to explore what's in your loading zone. Now this next one is just for fun. There are mods that allow you to do this a lot more efficiently. Open your console window and type player.placeAtMe C1AEB. This command will allow you to place a workbench anywhere that can be used to build settlements. This does have its limits though. You will have to enable God mode to access the workshop most of the time. If you place the workshop near enemies, you will have to kill all enemies nearby to unlock it. You can type in the console kill all, which kills everyone in the vicinity except for companions and essential NPCs. If you want to mess around and not bother with mods, then this is a good way to go about it. The game does refresh parts of the map from time to time, like when it resets a location that's already been cleared after X amount of in-game days, and you'll have enemies and objects respawning. So depending on where you set your workbench, it could be at risk of getting despawned or deleted. Like I said, if you want to do this a lot more efficiently and have a permanent settlement, you're better off using mods. So these are just a handful of console commands I thought would be useful for vanilla settlement builds. I put down a link in the description to the Fallout 4 console commands wiki page if you want to go down that rabbit hole. If you guys know of any interesting ones that I didn't list in the video, do let me know in the comments. Maybe I could make a part 2 of the video if enough people are into it. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.